Okay, questions for our last panel, Dr. Kersons and Dr. Wharton? Yes, ma'am? Dr. Wharton, come forward so we can hear you. I'll repeat as much as I can hear. The question is, what kind of estrogen is going to help those of us over the age of 60 and the different types of estrogen that there are?
That's a great question. And just because the estrogen levels change, it doesn't really mean that the postmenopausal estrogen, which is estrone, is yucky. It's just a different type of estrogen. The only thing I would say that isn't as good, I would say, as the estradiol, which is the circulating estrogen prior to menopause, is that there's more estrogen receptors in the area of your brain that is specific to Alzheimer's that relates to that premenopausal estrogen. So as far as research goes, we heard about the post-WIM study. There's also another clinical trial that went on called the Chronos Early Estrogen Prevention Study. The study was a 9-site clinical trial that took place, it just finished, I want to say, about 2 years ago, and the results have come out showing that both forms of estrogen, so both the CEE, which is the pill, and the estradiol, which is the patch, neither of those are harmful if taken during the menopausal transition. Now, this was done in a population of women not like the Women's Health Initiative. That's the study that had all the bad results come out of it. So these women were younger, on average age 52, and these women were more healthy overall, so they didn't have the high BMI. Essentially what happened with the Women's Health Initiative is that women had been off estrogen, like natural circulating estrogen, for so long, and then we gave them a massive amount of this, you know, estrogen. It just kind of shocked the system and caused all sorts of cell proliferation everywhere. But this is something that, you know, again, just weighing the pros and the cons. If you want to, you know, I would speak with your primary care physician about your risks for estrogen. But as far as what we know right now, both the pill and the patch are not harmful in regard to your vascular function and Alzheimer's disease if taken during the menopausal transition.
Yes, sir.
Great question.
Had to do about adapting technology for the use of all levels of expertise is what you're getting at.
I would say the short answer is that that's a problem. It doesn't necessarily happen. And part of the reason why I wanted to come up here and talk to you today is to point that out. There's a huge push right now for all the right and the wrong reasons. A lot of people are getting involved in developing health applications, and I think they don't always know what they're doing. They see that a lot of money can be made, and don't get me wrong, I think the intentions are good, but when it's investment bankers and technology, and this is engineers, computer scientists, part of the reason why I started my own company is because I was seeing a disconnect, certainly between what I call techies entering a healthcare space, and then it's one thing to design for a young audience and have Fitbits and, I don't know, trace whatever you want to trace. It's another, and I've seen it firsthand, I've lived it for 2 years, 3 years, working with older adults who are very limited, caregivers who are very stressed. An app needs to be really well designed. And it takes a long time. I got a $1.2 million grant for doing exactly that. And so whenever there's a company that, and I'm not here to rage against companies, not at all. I think there's a lot of good work that is being done, but you need to be, as a consumer, a healthcare consumer and technology consumer, very critical. And I think we need to ask and push these companies to set the right standards and come out with the right, whether it's an interface. I will say, Georgia Tech here in town does great work. There are other institutions, there are companies that do great work. But again, it takes time and it takes testing. And I know some of you in the audience have participated in some of my past studies. And I would recommend, whether it's for clinical research or whether it's for technology research, we need you. We need you to tell us what is usable, what is useful. And that takes time.
Lady right here, yes. Question is about use of estrogen pellets versus oral medications for estrogen replacement, correct?
There's not as much research with, if you're talking about that specific type of estrogen, which is estradiol. Yes, so I would say that there is much more research involving the patch than, correct, just because it's been around for a long time. One of the benefits of the patch versus the pill is that if you take a pill, part of that pill, it's called the hepatic first pass effect. It's broken down, you know, in your digestive system a little bit, but the patch, we know exactly, as long as it's used properly, how much estrogen is being delivered to you daily. Correct. Right, so I understand, ma'am. I'm saying there's much more evidence for the patch, and it's the same type of thing. If you're having, if someone has a reaction to, a skin reaction to the patch, then I might do that. That might be something that I speak to my primary care physician about. But as far as research goes, there's more research indicating the safeness of that versus the pellet. Monica, do you?
No.
Okay.
Most
No.
of my women aren't taking anything at this point. I don't have any experience with that.
Okay.